So we'll start today's discussion with what is epidemiology of cancer. Just giving you a summary. So the cancer is a general entity which represents malignancy of any human tissue. It can be from the epithelium or it can be from the connective tissue. It can be from fibrous tissue, adipose tissue, nervous tissue, even hematopoietic tissue. Okay, so this incidence of cancer, which includes a general term, can vary with age, can vary with location, and can vary with the genetic background of the individual, because the genetic background of people in Asia is different than those who are in Europe or those who are in US. Okay, the people in Africa, they have a different genome than people in Japan. So this genetic background keeps varying based on the geographic locality, and the cancer can happen at any age, but most commonly it is seen in older adults. Okay, so there are various environmental factors that has been put as a causative factor for cancer formation. Carcinogenesis represents the formation of cancer, including infections, bacterial, viral, fungal, smoking, tobacco, consumption of alcohol, diet lacking with essential nutrients, obesity, reproductive history, and exposure to carcinogens in your regular lifestyle. All these can be an environmental factor for carcinogenesis. So this cancer risk is also increased when there is going to be increased cellular proliferation. So whenever there is going to be a area where cells are continuously proliferating, either because of chronic inflammation or hormonal stimulation, that tissue has a higher risk for carcinogenesis than the other tissue. So you must always remember, the current concept is a chronic inflammation or a hormonal stimulation to any tissue which stimulates proliferation can be a potential risk factor for cancer formation. Similarly, epithelial lining can show some morphologic changes that increases the risk for developing cancer. This is what we discussed in the last class on epithelial dysplasia or dysplasia in any tissue for that matter. These dysplastic changes can be an indicator for a cancer risk in the future, and the risk for developing cancer can be modified by interaction between the exposure from the environmental factors and the variations you see in the genetic makeup of the cancer cell. So this is a summary of cancer epidemiology. So today's topic is on genetic lesions of cancer, and we'll be dealing about cancer genes. So as the name says, what is cancer gene? Cancer gene is not one, it is more than 100 in number. Okay, so when we're going to discuss cancer genes, you have various subtypes which you must know. One is oncogene. Onco represents cancer. Genes are the DNA or the genetic material that is responsible for cancer formation. So these oncogenes are the one which can promote increased cell growth. Okay, in normal tissue, these oncogenes are present in an inactive state called proto-oncogene. Okay, they are present in normal cells, but in a cancer cell, what happens is these proto-oncogenes transform into an oncogene, and they are responsible for cancer formation. The next group is tumor suppressor genes. As the name says, these are the genes that prevent the tumor growth. That's why it's called tumor suppression. Tumor suppression means it will reduce the growth of the tumor cell. So this tumor suppressor genes normally prevents uncontrolled growth, and if it is lost or mutated, the cell continues to multiply without any control. So oncogenes will stimulate proliferation, and presence or absence of tumor suppressor gene can lead to uncontrolled proliferation. Always remember, oncogene should be present or a tumor suppressor gene should be absent for a cancer gene to proliferate. So what happens is this tumor suppressor gene are in two groups. You have a governor group and you have a guardian group. So what do you mean by governor group? Governor group is the one which looks after the activity of the cell, which controls your cell proliferation, whereas guardian is the one that protects the cell from DNA damage. So imagine if there is going to be a guardian, it will check the DNA for any abnormalities, and if there is going to be any abnormality, the cell will not be allowed to multiply, it will be allowed to stop its growth. So that is what a guardian does. Governor is the one which will keep monitoring the cell proliferation to see how much the cell is proliferating, what is its outcome, and what is being controlled for. So the third group is genes that regulate apoptosis. Apoptosis, I already told you, it is nothing but programmed cell death. So this group of genes will induce, yes,
So guardian वाला एक बार फिर से repeat कर दीजिए please.
कौन सा?
So guardian
Guardian
tumor
genes can be,
suppressor.
sir.
That's what a guardian gene is the one. Guardian is like a police. It will prevent something which is wrong from doing its action. Whereas governor is the one is like a collector. He will just look all the things what is happening to make sure that things are happening in order. Guardian is the one which prevents. Say, imagine there's going to be a damaged cell. The guardian will identify the damaged cell and either it will instruct the cell to stop growing or to undergo apoptosis, which is a programmed cell death. Okay, and to these list of 4, you have one more, the genes that regulate the interaction between the tumor cells and the host cells. That is, what is the response of the host cell, either immunity or destructive effect or protective effect from the surrounding normal tissue is controlled by these genes. So whenever you remember, cancer genes is a very big topic. In this cancer genes, you have 4 major headings. One is an oncogene. Oncogenes are genes that induce or promote cell proliferation. So oncogene should be present for a cancer cell to grow. The second one is a tumor suppressor gene. As the name says, these are the ones which will control the cell from proliferating and they will stop the tumor activity. So in any cancer cell, the tumor suppressor gene should be inactivated or deactivated for the cancer cell to proliferate. There are 2 types of tumor suppressor gene. One is a governor gene which acts like a brake on cellular proliferation. It will stop the cell from proliferating, whereas guardian is like a police which will screen the DNA of the cell for any damage, and if there's going to be any damage, the cell will prevent proliferation and it will be asked to undergo either quiescence or apoptosis. So the apoptosis is the next set of genes that regulate apoptosis, which is your programmed cell death. And what happens is there are 4th group of genes that interacts between the tumor cells and the host cell, like your immune response, how the tumor spreads to a different tissue, how the tumor cell adapts to the surroundings, and all the other things come under this category. So in cancer genes, you have oncogene, tumor suppressor gene, genes that induce apoptosis or regulate apoptosis, and the genes that regulates the interaction between the tumor cell and the host cell. So is that clear? So whenever you're going to see any cancer, what happens is you have a genetic component in that. That means some genes are inherited from their parents, which increases the risk of the individual to get a cancer. So for example, few genes in malignancies are linked to few common genes which you see in some diseases, like retinoblastoma is RB gene. Okay, melanoma is restricted to a CDKN2A gene. Okay, similarly for your basal cell carcinoma, nevoid basal cell carcinoma syndrome, you have the PTCH1 gene. Okay, so there are cells which have an inherent mutation in the germline, which is transmitted to all the cells in the body, and these individuals will have a higher risk for cancer being presented in them than other individuals. So this is the inherited genetic component of cancer, because nowadays most of the patients don't have a inherent genetic risk, but because of the environmental factors, their risk for cancer is more. So always remember, this inherited predisposition means there are few genes which are already defective in an individual, and those defective genes are there in every cell, and these patients have a higher risk for cancer occurrence in them. And it can be either autosomal dominant, which means one defective gene is enough to produce cancer, or it can be an autosomal recessive where you need two defective genes to present or to produce cancer. Autosomal dominant means one defective gene is enough to produce the cancer. Whereas an autosomal recessive, you need two defective genes to produce the cancer, especially these genes which control DNA repair. That is, if there is going to be a damage in the DNA and the cell is unable to undergo repair, so these patients are at higher risk for cancer. So is that clear? So whenever you read about cancer genes, you must know these four components. One is oncogene, which is the gene that regulates tumor proliferation. Then you have a tumor suppressor gene, which controls cell proliferation and guards the cell from DNA damage. Then you have genes that regulate apoptosis, and you have genes that regulate the host cell and tumor cell interaction. So these are the four main cancer genes which you must know. And whenever there's going to be an inherited component, it can be either an autosomal dominant or an autosomal recessive pattern. Autosomal dominant cancer can be mentioned here. As I said, RB gene is for retinoblastoma. You have TB53 in this Lee-Fraumeni syndrome. You have PTCH1 for nevoid basal cell carcinoma syndrome. NF1, NF2 genes are present in neurofibromatosis. Okay, all these are few genes which are inherited and they have a higher risk for cancer to occur. You also have autosomal recessive syndromes which are responsible for defects in DNA repair like xeroderma pigmentosum and even Fanconi anemia, where you have various DNA materials which are damaged, which increases the risk for cancer. Okay, so is that clear? Any doubts in this?
No, sir.
Okay, so we'll finish this. We'll finish this meeting. We will reconnect. Okay, for the continuing topic.